Welcome back. You're watching MSNBC. I'm Stephanie Rule, and we are talking new developments this morning in that widening Russia investigation with more details about the involvement of former campaign advisor Carter Page. He has confirmed FBI agents questioned him for about 10 hours over 5 meetings back in March and says he repeatedly denied any wrongdoing. Meanwhile, Jared Kushner is lawyering up again, hiring well-known criminal defense attorney Abby Lowell. And according to the Washington Post, the president's son-in-law may also come under scrutiny for a loan his real estate company secured with Deutsche Bank, who's also the primary banker, the one bank that does institutional business with the Trump family, just 1 month before the election. Joining me now, former Assistant Watergate Special Prosecutor Jill Wine-Banks, and our panel, Jason Johnson and Elise Jordan. Jill, 5 meetings and 10 hours of questioning for Carter Page. That seems pretty thorough. And what's extraordinary to me, 10 hours of questioning, and he did it without a lawyer. I wouldn't even instruct my child to sit down with the school principal for an hour. What does it tell you about Carter Page and this investigation?
I would say that Carter Page is a brave and probably foolish man for having done that. 10 hours is a lot of questioning. And with all the information that we're now getting about loans to Trump and to Jared and the involvement of Russian banks as well as Deutsche Bank, everybody needs to be very careful, and we need to be following the money. I think we're going to be seeing more and more financial crime investigation going on.
Then are we jumping the shark if it's a foolish decision for Carter Page to do this without a lawyer? Let's turn to Jared Kushner, President Trump's son-in-law. He's now hired a well-known criminal defense attorney, Abby Lowell, who has represented John Edwards, Jack Abramoff. Does this offer any insight into concerns around what Jared Kushner may have done, or is it precautionary? This is the smart, right thing to do?
It is the smart, right thing to do, and I don't think we should jump to conclusions based on his hiring a lawyer. You can be innocent and hire a lawyer, so that doesn't show us anything. I think more of concern is the fact that he got a $285 million loan from Deutsche Bank just before the election, and that Deutsche Bank is the largest funder of Donald Trump's enterprises. So when you put that all together with the fact that Deutsche Bank was settling at the time and is still involved in negotiations with the federal government about its wrongdoing in money laundering, then you have a serious problem. You have to be wondering, why are they the only bank that will loan to Kushner or to Donald Trump? And that's where we get into it.
Couldn't we make the argument, Elise, Deutsche Bank could have lower lending standards, which is why they would do business with places like Cyprus and Russia and the Trump family and the Kushners? It doesn't necessarily mean that there's wrongdoing. They've got lower standards than, let's say, JP Morgan does. I mean, I worked at Deutsche Bank for 8 years. They definitely swing it faster and looser than other banks.
That certainly could be true. It's just an interesting pattern of meetings that Jared Kushner had in the immediate aftermath of the election, choosing to meet with the head of a Russian, essentially a state-owned bank that Putin uses as his slush fund for special projects. That was an interesting call. It was also an interesting call that Jared Kushner was open to going to the Russian embassy for secure communications with other Russian officials. Why did he need that kind of security? Why did he know to ask for that kind of security so that he could circumvent U.S. surveillance? That's an interesting question that I hope that this investigation will get to the bottom of.
And I'm not saying his back is against a wall, but we know what a predicament he's in with that building, 666 Fifth Avenue, what a behemoth of debt he's under. But people who know Jared Kushner, specifically in the real estate world, will say what a savvy guy he is, so smart, put together. Anthony Scaramucci said he's the modern-day Alexander Hamilton. If all of those things are true, why is it that this young man can't seem to get his paperwork filled out correctly?
Yeah, because he doesn't have to. That's been the problem. He hasn't had to thus far. His
hasn't had to what? Do the right thing?
Well, yeah, because
we all
because
have to do the right thing.
Eventually, but he hasn't had to face any consequence for it. And you look at the number of meetings forgotten, trying to get this sort of of secret bat phone so he can talk to Russia. There have been tons of behind-the-scene things that Jared Kushner has been trying to do, and he's only been politically rewarded from it by his father-in-law so far. He is lawyering up, not because he's just an honest guy and it's a smart thing to do, because he knows at the end of the day there are things he has done that are unethical. He has done things that get his father-in-law in trouble, and he's going to face consequences for it.
Jill, do you agree with Jason there? He hasn't had to do the right thing yet. Jared Kushner has only ever worked for his family business, a private company. Jamie Dimon, who's the chairman and CEO of JP Morgan, doesn't eventually have to do the right thing. He's held accountable every day right out in front, whether it's his board, his employees, or his shareholders. Is this Jared has just never had to behave like a grown-up in the real world?
I think Jason is absolutely correct, and that it is a shame that we are relying on someone who is so young and so inexperienced, who doesn't have any real corporate experience or political experience, and who is relying on the fact that he is related to the president and being trusted by the president. This is not a good thing for America, and I think the Russian bank meeting is really a telling thing. Why is he meeting with them? It's a bank under sanctions, so it's illegal for him to do business with them. And why is he meeting with them if it was during the transition for anything else? It just doesn't make sense. It's something we need to look at. Rachel Maddow had a wonderful full explanation of the VEB bank, which isn't even really a bank in Russia. It's just a pass-through of Russian funding.
It's a shell for oligarchs. All right, we're going to leave it there.
Exactly.
You know what my takeaway there is? That Jared being young and inexperienced and hasn't had to learn to do it yet, I say no way to that. Young and inexperienced, I have 3 little kids at home. Being honest and doing the right thing comes way before knowing how to be politically savvy and deal with running a real estate business. Kids know how to be honest. It's not about being rich and powerful.